Hi, this is Zach Mir with the US Stock Highlights here on Share Talk for Friday the 9th of April. Starting off with AFAMED, which is a newcomer to our little program. First, we've got a gap to the upside here. We've had a gap previously last month, so that's pretty impressive. We had a gap in December as well, but that was obviously filled and there was a test for support. But the current situation is that at least while we're above that March intraday peak around $8.58 on an end-of-day close basis, we're looking towards the top of that rising trend channel from March last year as high as $12.50, and that could be seen as soon as the end of next month. If you're cautious on the shares, maybe wait for some consolidation in the $8 to $8.50 area if you can get it. Moving along to a stock which has appeared here before, and see where it is now in terms of its particular technical cycle. It's interesting that we've had a brief bear trap below the floor of the rising trend channel there from back in June last year. Bounced off the floor of the channel today with key reversal to the upside as well, so looking quite solid at the moment. While there's no end-of-day close back below the intraday low of the day so far at $4.86, we're looking towards $10, which is basically mid-March resistance. Ideally, over the next 2 to 3 months, we head to the top of the range and the top of the price channel from last year, as high as $15. But I think looking for or shooting for $10 plus over the next month or so is probably the way to go. Moving along to another stock which is doing well at the moment, China Online Education. Here we've had another bear trap, sort of 2-3 day bear traps that tend to be the most uncomfortable because they stay there long enough for the shorts to get a bit of confidence in terms of the direction of the market, and then they flip back again. Current situation is that we're looking for an end-of-day close above that resistance line there from the end of last year, from the early December, and also the 50-day moving average. So call it an end-of-day close above $23, and we could hit the resistance line projection target from June last year as high as $32 or $33 by the end of next month. So a decent risk-reward situation there with the stop loss just back below the $20 mark, if you can afford that. Otherwise, probably an end-of-day close back below $21.50 for those who want to trade the stock tightly once it breaks, or if it breaks, the $23 level. On to another stock which is looking bullish at the moment, and in the same kind of country, China Green Agriculture. Here we've broken not quite nicely that old January peak, the initial 2021 peak. That was there at $6.93, and above that on an end-of-day close basis and a weekly close basis today. We're looking to the top of the rising trend channel from the end of October, as high as $12, and that could be hit as soon as the end of next month. At this stage, only really back below $6 and the 50-day moving average area, really delaying the upside scenario. Moving along to a stock which is another newcomer to our particular session, let's say. Clever Leaves. Here we've gapped to the upside, a bear trap rebound from below the initial March floor there at $12.32, and rather $10.35 rather. And while we're above $10.35, looking for at least a retest of March resistance, the mid-March resistance around $14, and hopefully that could be seen by the end of this month. So above $10.35, looking for $14 on Clever Leaves Holdings. Stock which is rather more high profile than most of the stocks we've looked at so far today. Fubo TV. I think the bulls had high hopes earlier in the year, but things double topped for December and January peaks towards $60. Looking interesting now in the sense that there's been a bit of jiggery-pokery around the 200-day moving average. That's around $21. Bit of a bear trap below it as well. The low there around the $20.60 level, maybe a bit lower than that as well, $20.26 in fact. But at least while we have that floor in place, we're looking for a retest of the mid-March resistance area again around $33. If you're cautious on the stock, then maybe wait for an end-of-day close through $25, which is basically today's intraday resistance. Stock which I think I have covered before, but it's back again, looking more encouraging maybe than previously. Genetic Technologies. Sounds like a solid concept, doesn't it? Breaking that resistance line there from January around $4.30, and while we're above that on an end-of-day close basis, looking to not only retest today's peak at $5.75, but maybe stretch back to February resistance as high as $6.50. over the next 4 to 6 weeks. At this stage, only really back below the main support line there from the summer of last year, around $3.80, really delaying the upside scenario. Stock which is on the front foot as well at the moment, coming up, US Global Investors. Sounds like a company to be taken seriously. Here we've had another breakout, I suppose basically breaking the late March peak there at $8.65. Another peak for the start of April at around the $9.50 level, and certainly above that, looking towards $16, and the top of that rising trend channel from November. If you want to tighten up the stop a little bit, then probably today's intraday low at $10.50 is about the tightest you can go for on an end-of-day close basis. Moving along to a stock which has got perhaps the nicest ticker code of the lot, or a Lovesac company. I'm not sure about the name of the company, but the ticker code's good. LOVE. Here we've got a rising trend channel from back in at the end of April last year. Top of the channel currently pointing at $90. That could be the target for the end of next month, especially while we hold above today's intraday low. That's around the $63 area, $63.80 in fact. So while we're above that, looking for $90 after the latest gap to the upside. Gaps through resistance, if they're held, tend to be amongst the strongest signals you can get in the market. We already had one in December, and they tend to come in three. So maybe this is the second of a triple gap higher over the course of late 2020 and going into 2021. Next contender today is one which I have looked at before, the rather exotically named Natuzzi Spa. Here we've got a situation where the shares have given a very strong sort of vertical push through support, that old peak from January, the initial 2021 peak there at $15.11, and above that on an end-of-day close basis. We're looking to the top of the rising trend channel from back in the end of October, currently pointing to $21, and that should be hit by the end of this month. At this stage, only really back below the floor of the channel, $12.80, really questioning the upside scenario. Moving along to a stock which is encouraging as well. Here we've got NCS Multi-Stage Holdings. Sounds intriguing in terms of the business model. Here we've broken neckline resistance there, the initial April resistance, $29.07. We've also broken the 50-day moving average at $31.30, let's call it, and while we're above the 50-day line on an end-of-day close basis, looking for the shares to hit that rather steep November resistance line projection as high as $70 as soon as the end of next month. Couple of stocks to go now. First one is one which is, again, not so familiar to us, but it's always good to see new charts and new situations. Sohu.com, rather, I was going to say .com. Here we've had a massive gap to the upside after a bit of support testing around the $15 area over the late part of March and going into April. Current view is that while there's no end-of-day close back below the 50-day moving average at $17.94, we're looking towards that November resistance line projection as high as $24 as soon as the end of next month. With a bit of luck, might be the end of this month, but let's go for the end of next month and the 50-day line as the notional technical stop loss. Finishing off the day and the week with this stock, 10x Therapeutics. Here you can see another gap to the upside after a bear trap, really a bear trap from below that initial March floor at $1.85, while we're above $1.85. Looking for a retest of last month's resistance at $2.68, and probably by the end of the month hoping for $3, which was early February resistance. That's it for me this week. Joining me again next week.